Welcome to Pandora's Awareness Podcast, a place where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. I'm your host, Asher, and our co-host today is Queen Lav, and our guest today is Crystal. And yes, you're here because we get to talk about first-time experiences on this amazing Monday. The month is almost over already. Can you believe it? We're getting there already. So, Crystal, it's all about you today, my friend. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay, so if you don't mind telling us where you're hailing from, what you specialize in, how you adding value to the world, and who you're being a hero to.
Okay, I can certainly do that. My name's Crystal Oakes. I'm from Edmond, Oklahoma. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. We were just talking about you should stop in that state sometimes instead of just passing through. Yeah, I specialize in marketing. I'm a marketing expert. I'm a graphic designer by trade. So my company, Oaks Creative House, we offer marketing services tailored to micro businesses. And one thing that I found is not a lot of marketing agencies like to work with the small clients, but I actually really love them. It lights my heart on fire. It brings me joy. It gets me out of bed in the morning. I love seeing businesses come to life, and I love talking to the founders behind those businesses. And that is absolutely what lights me up and brings me joy. Let's see, who am I being a hero to? So I would say a lot of times those small businesses, we also have a community of people who aren't even quite ready for us yet. And we teach them DIY resources. We give them worksheets and workbooks and free trainings in a group, low cost workshops for them to attend to learn marketing when they have to DIY it. And then when they're ready for us, they're ready for us. But in my personal life, I'm being a hero to my husband, Steven, and our 1 year old son, Grayson.
Mm. 1 year old.
1 year old.
Mm. Well, congratulations to you, mommy.
Thank you.
So I got one kid too. My daughter, she's 18 right now. Though. She just got grown. She just turned grown up. So I understand the feeling too.
Yeah, different stage of life, but man, they all count, right? They're all new experiences.
Yeah, they all new experiences. But if you had to go ahead and give us you make a real deposit on Pandora's Awareness podcast with one of these big first time experiences, what will you share with us so we can take with us?
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about this all day. And I thought the obvious answer is becoming a mom for the first time. And I thought that all day because I was like, I have to talk about something different, right? All moms talk about this. And then it just kept coming back to me and kept coming back to me. And I'm like, no, not everyone has experienced that first time experience like I have. And my
Mhm.
story of experiencing becoming a mom for the first time while owning a business and moving into a new house and like doing all these things, that may be an experience that helps someone else through their current experience.
Mm. And what was that?
100%.
Mm.
Yeah.
And a lot of our first experiences will definitely be like, oh, it's not something that you never heard before. Rather, a lot of our listeners will be like, oh, I had that first experience too. But it's good to share, yeah, the uniqueness of our collective experiences.
Yes. And I remember when I was becoming a mom for the first time, I listened to so many podcasts. I
Mhm.
asked a lot of parents, like, what was your experience like? Or what was the newborn stage like? All of those different questions. And their stories are what helped me. I'm a huge researcher. I love researching anything that I can, but I always go back to people's stories because it's their real life experiences that truly make a difference in like what you retain and what information you can apply to your life.
So now that you feel like this is what you want to start with, I am curious to go into the journey of you deciding that it's time to be a mom.
Yeah. So
And
it was a really long journey for us. It was a long journey in the sense that I deal with chronic migraines. I was diagnosed at age 9. I have likely had them since I was about 7. So getting to the point of being able to care for a newborn and getting my body ready to have a baby was a really long journey that started with me going to a neurologist to get on migraine medication for the first time, which I really did not want to do, but I had to. That neurologist looked at me and I still love him. I don't fault him for this, but he looked at me and he said, in your current state, there's no possible way that you can care for a newborn.
mm,
And I took that and said, well, watch me. Let's see what I can do now. Right. And I decided to research all the different medication and non medication options. I became my own health advocate. I went to doctors with a list of what I wanted to address and talk about that day. I went into my appointments with knowledge, and that helped me a ton get to the point where then I had to go 6 months off of medication to be able to then have start trying for our son Grayson. And it was just a very long journey for me. Lots of waiting, lots of being sad, watching my friends have their kids, falling into motherhood and being so happy for them, but at the same time being so jealous that it wasn't happening for me. And it was because of something that I had no control over. So I decided to take control and made it happen for us.
Congratulations, man. I'm listening to you and I feel that ownership. It's like I'm gonna do this no matter what.
Mhm.
Because sometimes I think we're in an age where you have people that just have kids very easily, and you have people that doesn't that it's very challenging. And then sometimes we don't really appreciate like the desire to want to be a parent or desire to care for somebody. Just want to like you want to duplicate yourself because that's pretty much what it is. Like I want my replacement, and what I'm gonna do to make that happen. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna take ownership, do my research, all that stuff, and just gonna make it happen. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Mm. What's on your mind,
You have
Lav?
a impressive story, and you know what? I love that each and every time our guests are so raw. And thank you for your honesty, for telling us about your journey. You have to be vulnerable to talk about it, but also thank you for sharing that you were happy for your friends, but you also had a little bit of jealousy. And it's normal, right? I mean, we all, oh, I cannot have any negative feelings in any way because that means I'm a bad person. No, it's normal to be a little bit uh to compare your situation with your friends and your relatives, and it's good that you didn't get like sidetracked and you realize that, okay, I'm happy for them, I wish I was in their place, but maybe I can do something to be in their place, and you took initiative. That's awesome.
Absolutely. The past couple of years have really taught me that you can hold two emotions at the same time. You can be joyful for someone else and sad for yourself at the exact same time. And yeah, it's a really hard space mentally to be in, to try to be okay with both of those emotions at the same time. But this past couple of years, in talking about firsts, has really taught me that in a really big way. We lost a twin in our pregnancy.
Mhm.
So it was literally that simultaneous like joy for the baby that we had, but literally every day I think about the baby that we don't. And it is just very hard to hold both of those emotions at the same time. And I wish more people talked about that, talking about vulnerability, because it is something that we all have to experience at some point. But knowing that it's possible and knowing that other people have been through similar things really helps us in our own experiences.
Mm. How many siblings do you have?
I have one sibling. I have an older sister. She's 4 years older than me.
How does she feel about your journey?
I think she's very happy for my motherhood journey. We're very different people, and I love that for us because everybody has to have their own, personalities and likes and dislikes and things like that. But I think she's really enjoyed watching me become a mom just as much as I enjoyed watching her become a mom too. She has an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. My 11-year-old nephew just became a black belt in karate last week, which is so cool, and I'm so happy for him. But yeah, I think we both have loved watching each other's experiences in becoming a mom for the first time.
Hmm, that's really nice. I'm reflecting back on my younger sister too. She had her kid when she was like maybe 37, 38, I think. And he born early. And I'm watching this little man. He came a long way, man. Like I think it was like maybe 26 week or 27. He was really early, like really early. But he fought through everything. And then he got to play like he's running around and stuff. But I'm like, I just remember how small that little thing was in your hands, like just little tiny. But he fought through everything. I was like, this guy gonna be a champion because he just keep fighting, keep going. And now he's strong and running around. I'm like, man, the universe is different,
Mhm.
really different.
Crystal, I would like to ask you something. In case some of our listeners experience the same problem, challenge, how would I call this? Severe migraine,
Yeah, chronic migraines.
chronic migraines. Uh, what did you do? How did you replace the meds with natural stuff? What were the products that you used when you were, for example, pregnant or breastfeeding and you couldn't take probably certain pills?
Yeah, that's a really great question. One I love to talk about because it is something that, especially us as women, like if we're taking medication for anything, we really have to be careful about what's going in our bodies whenever we have babies and we're breastfeeding and things like that. And the biggest thing that helped me, it's called neurofeedback. I found a neurofeedback specialist. It's medication free. It helps to reset your nervous system back to calm instead of being in fight or flight all the time. And that allowed my body to heal in so many different ways. And neurofeedback's great for a lot of different health challenges, but specifically for migraines, it allowed me to go off of the medication that I was on. It allowed me to, it was something that I could do throughout my whole pregnancy that had no effect on the baby. So it was a safe way for me to continue treating my migraines as I journeyed into motherhood.
And can you explain a little bit for us what's neurofeedback?
Yeah, so neurofeedback, it's based on science, so it's not all natural, but it's a science-based modality, and they apply electrodes to different places on your head, and you don't feel anything. So it's not anything like electric shock therapy or anything like that. You don't feel anything, and what it does is you watch something visual while it's going on, and the visual thing that you're watching, like I like to watch movies while I did it, and the screen would darken or the sound would go softer until your nervous system hit a point of calm. And then the lights came back up and the sound came back up. So it's training your optic nerve and your nervous system to work together in order to find that calm baseline to your nervous system so that you're not kind of heightened and in fight or flight all the time. And yeah, that did it for me. And now I still experience migraines, but not nearly as frequently as I have throughout, honestly, my entire life.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Asher, do you have any
Yes,
thoughts?
yes, yes. It started raining crazy out here just now, man. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Hope nothing don't fall off. You know what? Maybe make lab co-hosts as well while we're doing, just in case something might change and switch up on us a little bit. But I want to jump into your profession there, Crystal. You know, you say you do marketing right now, and I'm curious about how that journey has been for you because I'm jumping into that area as well for my life, and I would love to get your storyline on that piece of it.
Yeah, I fought being a marketing expert for a long time. I went to
Mm.
graphic design school. I worked in corporate jobs as a graphic designer and was like, I don't want to do all the other stuff. I don't want to write the words. I don't want to come up with the emails. I don't want to sell things. I was like, I'm not good at sales. All of those things I didn't want to do. I wanted to do the pretty parts, that I went to school for. And over time, what I found was I started to kind of integrate myself in with those other aspects of what it takes to run a business, and knowing that actually selling the product or selling the service at the end of the day is a big part of what makes everything run, right? So then it was like, I have the ability to write the good words. I have the ability to figure out the ideal clients and figure out if they're hanging out on Facebook versus Instagram or those kind of things. And I just slowly started adding more marketing skills to my bucket. And by the time I left my corporate career, I could do almost anything you needed marketing related start to finish. And it was amazing because then when I started working for my clients, even as a freelancer, there was so much that I could offer them. And I feel very strongly that as a small business owner, you shouldn't have to be the coordinator. You shouldn't have to be the art director between your web designer and your photographer and your writer and your social media manager and all these different people that you have helping you with your marketing. That you should have one central point there who knows how to direct all those other people for you, because it's not a skill that we all possess. Not everybody can walk, into a meeting with a graphic designer and speak graphic design to them, and that's something that I can do to all the people in marketing industry. And so that's why I'm in the seat that I'm in.
Hmm. And so what then why did you choose that? Like, why is marketing so important to you? Like, why did you choose that path?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, my whole family has owned small businesses my entire life. And when I was younger, my mom owned a craft mall, and she used to make things like these little cutout, figurines to sit around your house, or rugs, or blankets, or jewelry. I mean, all kinds of different things that she made and sold. And we were sitting in front of the TV when I was little, like making bracelets to go in her booth at the craft mall to sell. And it was just such an integrated part of our life that like on the weekends, we were there helping her sell her product, or we were checking out customers or greeting them or whatever we needed to do. Fast forward to when she opened her bakery. When I was in high school, I worked in her bakery for several years. And I fought it. I was like, I don't want to own my own business. Like, I don't want to have to be thinking about this 24/7. And then I went and worked in corporate jobs. And while I loved my time there and I learned so much, there was just still so much that I didn't have control over. Like, I didn't have control over how we did a certain thing. That was up to somebody else's decision. And what I found is that it was really holding me back in a lot of ways from like growing into the best expert that I could be. And kind of kills your creativity when you're a creative artist, to be told, no, we can't do that certain thing, or we can't do it in that way, or that didn't work 10 years ago, so it's not going to work today. So that's why I just finally decided after I got married and we had two incomes, I was like, now it's the time to take the plunge. I think I need to work for myself. And honestly, I haven't looked back. I doubled my corporate salary my first year freelancing. I am the type that my husband will come take my laptop from me. He's like, you're done working now. Like, shut it down. You're done working. It's addicting to me. Invigorating. Like, I love every minute of it. So then it's really hard to put it away. But honestly, I couldn't see myself doing anything else besides working for myself.
You know what I love? I love that you are working with small businesses, and oh, I cannot wait to hear a little bit more about it, because we've all been there. We all started from somewhere where we probably did not afford the very expensive marketing services that are out there. Not to say that yours are very expensive, but in general, right? Marketing is an expensive thing, but it's also a very important piece of any business. Like, no matter how awesome your product is, if you're not out there, if you don't have exposure, you won't sell. You won't, yeah. So,
That's
how, I guess my question is, how do you, I mean, you said you are doing workshops for the people who are not ready yet to pay for your services. Maybe you can share with us some tips from those workshops. What you suggest, what is better? They should focus more on social media, on, I don't know, direct mailing, emails, or a combination.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think every business is really unique in their, we like to call it your marketing roadmap. Every business is unique in terms of what marketing avenue fits where within your specific roadmap. And it's really important to know where your customers are, what they're interested in, how they're working to find people like you. And that helps to guide the decisions a lot about whether, LinkedIn's right for you versus email marketing, or you should invest in SEO over Facebook ads. That really helps to kind of direct the conversation where it should go. And, that's something that as small business owners with no background in marketing, you shouldn't have to know. Like, you're not just born with that knowledge. That's something that I've picked up over 15 years of experience. So having somebody like me on your side who can help you roadmap that out becomes a whole different conversation. And I think that people are really scared of marketing agencies because they feel like they're going to get sold to. They feel like they're going to get roped into this thing. I actually had a client the other day and somebody was calling them about voice marketing. So like voice search services like with Siri and Alexa. And they haven't really even tapped as a business into basic SEO strategies. So I'm like, no, we're not ready for that, and someone who has the experience that I do or other marketing professionals, we can clearly say, no, that's not the right step for you because of XYZ reason. And so I feel like tips is really just surround yourself with people who know what they're doing, but also who have your best interest at heart. And that's hard to find, but keep looking for them because they exist. People like that truly do exist that want to see your business succeed and don't want to see you spend your entire savings in order to try to make it back, as soon as possible. I like to see your income increase and then your marketing spend increase with it to the next stage into what you should be doing. So, but in terms of free tips, it's hard to say specific ones here because every business is different, but we have a full resource library on our website with free workbooks that you can download. We also have a Facebook group called For the Love of Business, where we do trainings and we answer marketing related questions. We host networking hours with Q&As in them, just ways to kind of help ease everyone's mind when it comes to like, what the heck is the algorithm doing? Or those kind of questions that you see answered all over YouTube, but more specific to you and your business.
Awesome. I would love to have a call set up with you, Crystal, and talk about my marketing strategies.
I love it. It's my
You
favorite
won me over already.
I'm gonna get a little controversial here if you don't mind.
thing.
But because Facebook, right? Facebook, I am anti-Facebook right now. I'm anti-Instagram, all these social media platforms. And how do you feel about like some of the restriction that you're putting in place right now, like restricting how much you can actually volume you can put out, so forth and so on. Like, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, of course, like none of us like the things that the social media platforms make us do. But I always remind my clients, like, we're playing their game, we're on their platform, right? I had a client the other day call me and they were just so mad that a certain thing on Facebook didn't work the way they wanted it to. And I was like, hey, reminder, we're on their platform. You didn't build this, right? So you just have to understand how it works and play the game. I think in terms of like being anti Facebook right now, it's funny. I'm in Oklahoma. We're still a heavy Facebook state. I also work with clients from coast to coast, and my advice that I give them if they're looking for local clients versus my advice that I give my area looking for local clients is very different, and it really depends on where you are, kind of who your audience is, what you're looking to reach that drives those decisions. But no, I don't like that they're restricting content, and I don't like that we have to play by all their rules. But if you want to play the game, you have to understand the rules.
Mm, here's my thing. I think I've never seen so many people work so hard for so little. Like putting so much free stuff out on Facebook, like just feeding them, and they're not doing nothing for it. Like Facebook is not really sharing. Like me personally, Facebook is not sharing. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not sharing. They're not sharing. And they have you put so much of your personal stuff all out, put your stuff out there, and they give you nothing back in return. So I don't think that I think eventually I think we need to start like wake it up and like, okay, like why are we working so hard for Facebook?
Mm-hmm. I'm
You know?
really lucky that in my community here locally, and some virtually beyond, but we're really just getting off the platform. We're meeting people on the platform and then we're getting off the platform. And
Mm-hmm.
we're saying, you know what, let's go to coffee or let's host a community meetup. There's an amazing group in our local area called OKC Women in Business, and it's all just business owners in the Oklahoma City metro area. And they have like 10 different coffee meetups that you can go to throughout the month. And I think that it's really invigorating to me to see people talk about their business just outside of social media because
Mm-hmm.
social media, there's so much to compete with. And you're right, you're working so hard for so little. And I think that people look at their neighbors next door and they're like, look at what they're doing on Instagram or TikTok right now. And it's hard to see the amount of work that goes into it. And you have no idea what they're doing outside of the platform, right? They could be emailing people every day to make one-on-one connections. They could be picking up the phone and doing sales calls every day, but you're not seeing that part of it. So sometimes we think it doesn't exist. But in my opinion, businesses that are really soaring, they're hitting this from every angle. I mean, they're making those connections. I even went to a conference last week and I've reached out to 3 other marketing agencies to have a virtual chat with them. And my husband immediately says, isn't that your competition? Why would you do that? And I'm like, no, because there's something to offer to everyone. And we white label and collaborate with other agencies all the time. Why not them as a potential, right? And I think we have to think beyond just what we see on the screen in front of us. And I hate to say it this way, but sometimes it takes a little like get your hands dirty and get out there and work a little bit too. And sometimes that's uncomfortable for us, but we have to do it if we want to grow our businesses.
Mm. I agree with the collaboration over competition because I think collaboration is the way to go. I
Mhm.
mean, some platform would want you to compete because they win competition. Then you know what I'm saying? It's the thing that happens. But when you collaborate, it's like, oh, I noticed the same thing. Are we not gonna do that collectively? And
Mhm.
then we start taking the power back. But if we are competing, then we're gonna feed Facebook, feed these other platforms, and they're gonna keep winning. And then we just really don't really get anything for our hard work and sharing. Like I'm sharing stuff for this platform and they compensate me like I'm doing free marketing. Like we're doing a lot of free marketing for other organizations when we share
Oh,
this stuff. And they're not sharing the residual, they're not sharing the margin, not sharing none of that stuff. So that's just my piece on it.
mhm. No, I agree.
Hmm. Lav, what's on your mind, my friend?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm just thinking, I was just analyzing everything what Crystal was saying. I guess probably we already lost the wave of social media where whatever content you were creating and you were putting out there, you could potentially hit the lottery and be so famous and make so much money. It's probably harder now to ride that wave. But I guess we don't really understand, so we are still making an effort to produce all this content and put it out there, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
I follow a TikTok creator who's a makeup artist. I love following her. She's so fun. And she did a behind the scenes one day, walking through her entire day, like getting up at 6 a.m., planning out her content for the day, setting up her makeup room and getting out her products, like all the way down to recording the videos. And then afterwards, like all the emails that she had to answer, the products that she had to unbox and quality check, like all the behind the scenes parts that we don't see. And sometimes we see these viral videos and we're like, yeah, they just hit it big one day with this video that just came to them and they hit record, and it very seldom works like that. A lot of times it is very planned, and the influencers that we're following, a lot of them put in a lot of work to make happen what is happening in their lives. And sometimes we just discredit that and we think it looks easy, but it's not easy.
Hmm. It's something I'm looking at. And maybe you know this too, Crystal, but I see there's a big interest into the backstage of things versus just the front stage. And I think a lot of, like me personally, I like to see people backstage, because I understand you get the result, right? But then I love to see that backstage piece, like how you put together your process to get there. That's my interest. When I see stuff going on, I'm like, okay, let me see where you like what's like I'm looking at your face right now, but like what's the other view? Like that you're looking at me, like what does that view look like? And that gives me some ideas about myself. So I like to see people backstage.
I do too. Honestly, it makes a huge difference. And then even for like us as business owners, it makes a huge difference because when I had Grayson, I got flowers from clients. One of my clients sent me a 90-minute massage. It was like the best thing I've ever received. They were cheering for me. They were happy for me. They start calls with me saying, oh, he just had his tongue tie released and lasered this week. And I can't even tell you how many messages I've already had asking me how he's doing. And it really, people want to connect with people. And, throughout the whole, COVID and everything changing, we lost some of that connection, and people are really craving that connection to come back. They want friendships. They want business relationships that are win-wins for everyone. They want to be able to ask about your kids, or they want you to be able to ask them to a cup of coffee or whatever the case is for you. And why not be feeding into that and creating it for them? Because ultimately it's just so rewarding at the end of the day.
This podcast is big on emotions, by the way. So most time people are like, actually, it's an emotional podcast because like the themes are focused on really, really big emotions. And I think that a lot of times we want to understand how people feel, how they think, like what you're doing. And it's interesting when I'm listening to somebody's story. I'm like, yeah, I can tell me about the success and the result, but I want to know like what's happening before that. Like, what was those chaotic moments? Like, what were those things that drove you crazy during that moments? Like, I want to know about those because that's what's meaningful to me. Like, I want to see those. I want to experience those. Tell me about those story. Like, what's in your history?
I have a few of those for sure.
Share. Talk to me. Talk to us.
I'll start with, since we're talking about first and my first time, becoming a mom. I lost 25 pounds in my first trimester because I could not keep anything down. And this is the behind the scenes kind of stuff that you're like, this is actually happening in real people's lives. There was one whole day that I was giving a presentation and then I was on a client meeting. I had back-to-back meetings all day. And literally I sat in front of Zoom and I did the meeting, and then I went straight to the bathroom and threw up for 30 minutes. And then I went straight back to Zoom and I smiled and had the whole next meeting. And then I went straight to the bathroom and threw up the whole time, all day long. Come 6 o'clock, I called the OBGYN that was on call, and I was like, yeah, I haven't kept down water all day. Like something, like I need some help. And he was like, go check in and have them give you fluids and medicine, because you can't be in that dehydrated state for the rest of the evening. And I think those are the kind of things that like people just don't see, right? They see me with my makeup on today smiling, but they didn't see that I had to send my 1-year-old out the door screaming this morning because I had to do tongue exercises with him because of his tongue tie, right? And they're not seeing those kind of hard moments. And then even just, outside of those kind of things, your own emotions and the parts that go into your business that are really hard to deal with. Going back to having Grayson, I worked really hard to take a full 12-week maternity leave. And I'm so incredibly thankful and proud of my team for learning all the things that they needed to do. We paused a few services, but they did about about 2/3 of the revenue that I do when I'm here while I was on maternity leave, which was incredible. That was an incredible win for us. And I really did step away for 12 full weeks. But at the same time, I was bored. I was bored. And this is awful for me to say as a mom, right? Like everybody's like, take in all the snuggles. The newborn phase was not my favorite. I enjoyed it for a while. And then I was like, what do I do with myself? So we decided to build a house. So I poured myself into picking out tile and paint samples and, you know, all of those kind of things because I knew everyone would be really mad at me if I just went back to work. I had enough advisors in my life that would tell me not to do that. So instead, I just poured myself into another project. But that was my own, you know, emotional state of not being able to be content where I am. And that's something that I struggle with all the time, just being in the present moment, being content with what I have and where I am. I'm always go, go, go on to the next goal. I could map out a 10-year goal for you at any time because I have those all in my head. And I think sometimes we don't talk enough about like what that feels like to be in this push and pull with yourself when you just can't stay present and stay happy in the moment that you're in. And don't worry, I'm working with a therapist on all these things. But at the same time, like we need to be talking about those things more because it is a really hard thing for you to deal with in your mind every day.
And also when you have a business and you work to grow it, right? You probably feel guilty to just be lost in the present moment and just enjoy supposedly doing nothing for your business at least, right?
Yes, it's really hard. It feels lazy to me. It feels unproductive, even though I know those things not to be true, right? I know that the rest is good. And a lot of times that's when like big ideas come to people. But it's something that I struggle with every day to just sit here in this present moment and not be thinking about 10 minutes from now or 10 years from now.
I think those skills are valuable too, right?
Mm-hmm.
The skills of planning for the future, orchestrating things. And I was talking to another person about because we was talking about how much we think. Like I'm a person I love thinking. Like I would sit here and think about stuff all day. I love it. I enjoy my own mind. I like playing with my own thoughts, right? And I was like, cause we bought it, had like the ADD thing and ADHD thing, whatever. I'm like, listen, I enjoy my own mind, and I'm not gonna like feel guilty about because I think a lot, because it's a skill set. Because not a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around people and they have no great ideas of their own. Like I got plenty for all of us. So sometimes I start embracing the things that happens naturally for me. And sometimes people might say, "Oh, you think too much." Well, because you don't think a lot. But I appreciate my thinking. I appreciate my own thoughts. Like me sitting there in the thought universe, I pick a thought to think about. I enjoy that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
do.
understand that too, and it's certainly a skill set. I wrote this down in a journal not too long ago that is one of my special skills is to be able to map out a big goal and then turn around and turn that into mini steps and hit those goals. I mean, there have been very few goals on my list that we haven't achieved, or maybe we pushed them back for a strategic reason. But it's not like me to be like, well, that thing never happened. Like it's on a map somewhere. It's on a to-do list somewhere. Trust me. The first step in that direction is somewhere on a list, right? And I think sometimes we discredit the things that make us special and think about them in the negative, but it's good. There again, like thinking about holding space for two emotions tied to something at the same time. Like you can love that thing about yourself and hate that thing about yourself at the same time, and then strategically kind of figure out what that really means to you and how you use those skill sets that you have.
Here's the beauty in that. We need polar opposite. We need opposition. We need something to oppose each other. That's what creates the spark. So every time I have something over here and something over there, in between, I get the ideas going. And something I was thinking about today too. And I was like, if I don't think about you, you won't have an opportunity to think about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The thing that I'm thinking about is thinking about me. And I would only think about it and connect with it because we're both thinking about the same thing. So I realized the power of thinking. So if you want something to show up, you got to start thinking about it. And that thing is thinking about you too. And then eventually we come together and the thing becomes real. But if you never thought about it, you're never going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I start respect. So I figure, okay, what am I thinking about now? Because I want that thing to think about me too. Because I want it. Right. And because it knows that I want it, it's going to show up. That's all I respect my thinking.
Yeah, it's manifesting. I mean, people talk about that all the time, but sometimes people throw out that word and they're like, what are you talking about? You just described it perfectly. Like, yeah, if you're not thinking about that thing, it's not thinking about you either, or that person. That's a great way to say it.
Mm.
I love
Awesome.
it. Well, Crystal, I want to get back to your business because, again, I'm super excited to hear from you. Thank you for sharing with us. So, from what I understood, is you are one centralized man show who would take over all our worries of social media and website and oh my God, what should I do? And you are practically taking care of all these channels.
Yeah, so we do everything under the marketing umbrella except for video because I just haven't found a videographer I love yet, and paid ads. And mostly we don't do paid ads. One, I don't have a specialist for that on my team yet. But two, a lot of the businesses that we work with haven't done enough in their organic marketing for me to really warrant and say, like, with enthusiasm, like, you should pay Facebook now or you should pay Google now, right? Like, I don't want to be paying them if we don't have to be paying them, right? So we don't handle that part either. We have a referral partner for that. But everything else we can either do for you or do with you. And I think that that's a really important distinction because as small business owners or micro businesses, we have to be thinking about where does our time go. And sometimes it is worth it to just hand off your complete website build to somebody else. Sometimes you need a guide to guide you through doing that yourself so that you can manage it later because you know you don't have the funds to keep up with doing that with an agency. So we do a little bit of both to where I can help coach you and walk you through the parts that you're DIYing, or you can hand it off to us when you're ready. We work really hard to make sure that our price points actually fit our ideal client, right? And this is something that every business should be doing. But if you say your ideal client is XYZ type of person, but your pricing is like way too low or way too high for them, it's not going to work. So we work really hard. I'm constantly analyzing, was I profitable at that price point? Can I stay profitable at that price point? How do I continue to keep the prices really low for people in order to also give them the end result that they're looking for? And I think some of that for me is being able to step into services with people. Like, what's the starting point service look like? This is what you can afford right now. We're going to set you up for success for the next step, but we're also going to tell you what the next step is so that when you're ready for it, like, we're ready to come in and help you with it.
Mm.
Awesome, thank you.
I love the growing piece. I like what you do, Crystal. I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a fan. I admire that because
Yeah.
that's the area I'm going into. I'm building towards, and definitely love talking to you about that. So if somebody hear you right now and like, Crystal, we talked about hero, and you are my hero, and I want to meet my hero. How can I meet you?
Online, actually, you can go to oakscreativehouse.com. That's OAKES, Creative House, which a lot of people think about a house, but it's actually named after a fashion house because I have a secret love for, let me see, Vogue and Prada and Chanel, even though I can't afford any of them. But that's where the name comes from. So you'll help to remember it, oakscreativehouse.com. We offer free discovery sessions. You can find out anything about our free resources or our Facebook group on the website. I believe that a website should be home based for your marketing. You go to ours, you're going to understand what I'm talking about because you can find every resource there you need.
Perfect. Now, if you had to wrap up and give us your biggest takeaway or giveaway, what would that be for you?
My biggest takeaway or giveaway?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question. I think my biggest I'm going to go takeaway first. Okay. I think my biggest takeaway is surround yourself with people who truly want to see you win. That makes a huge difference in our lives, whether it's, through motherhood or whether it's in our businesses. I think we definitely are the product of the people that we surround ourselves with. And that's something that I work really hard on, making sure that the people that come into my circle are adding value and I'm adding value to their lives. And then biggest giveaway, let's see, I would just say all the resources that are on our website. I know I've mentioned them a couple times. I also, if you DM me, I will send you a secret promo code to my online course. I have an online course called Business Marketing Done Right, and it teaches you that roadmap that I was talking about for how to stack your marketing efforts on top of each other so that you get the best domino effect. And I have promo codes in my back pocket that I can give away. So you can message me, tell me you found me here, and I'll certainly shoot you over a really great promo code.
Wait, DM me where? On Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram would be fine. Facebook. I always tell people, like, you're going to find me somewhere. Email me, Instagram me, whatever you need to do. And me or my team will be checking all those channels. So we'll get back with you.
Awesome, thank you.
What about you, Lav? what did Crystal talk about today? You're like, I'm taking this with me.
My biggest takeaway is that I'm going to DM Crystal in a second after we finish this.
I love
You
it.
know what was my biggest takeaway? I'll tell you what it was. Um, for quite some time, I had a love-hate relationship with marketing because of the people that I unfortunately contracted, and they just wanted my money. And that's very disappointing. And it's like, ugh. But talking to Crystal and hearing her, how she's dedicated and how she cares about the businesses that she helps promoting, made me change probably my perspective and feel this warmth in my heart and want to collaborate with somebody like her.
Oh, I
Mm,
love that stuff. You just made my whole like year. You don't even that is what I am all about. I just want people to understand that there are people who can understand marketing and marketing for your business that aren't just out there to get all of your money. I mean, that's really not what all of us are about. So like find the people that really truly care about your successes. Our emails when we send out quotes say something about like we want to pop the champagne with you whenever things are really going right, and we want to be the shoulder to cry on when things are going wrong. And we do form those types of relationships with our clients, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
mm. Here's
How
what I'm
about you,
thinking.
Asher?
Yeah, I was thinking just now when we all talking. And I think the power of the marketing and the folks is like, somebody is there, they want to pour water on your stuff. They want to see your thing grow. Right. And sometimes people don't understand that when you meet a marketing person that's like, hey, I see what you're doing and I believe in your cause. And I want to make that thing grow. I want to build that thing for you, help you build it. That's what the marketing piece, like help you find more people that will love what you do. Because it sounds like when I'm listening to Crystal, like she's in love with the people that she serves. Like you get up every day, and you're in love with those people. Like it's something you get the energy from. Like I'm in love with these kind of people. And when I see him, I want to see him do well because the more of them though I see successful, the better I feel about my existence on this planet. So when I was listening, I was like, I feel it because I understand the power of community, the power of seeing somebody with a passion that they love and they want to see it turn into something, but they don't have the skills of go talking to a lot of people because that's not their skill set. Like they're passionate to something else, but like the people piece to go find a stranger and talk to him. Not everybody got that skill. And when I meet somebody that has that skill like you, Crystal, it hits me. I admire that. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Thank you. That's such a great takeaway. And you're right. You have, and all of us, we have to find that thing that we're passionate about that gets us out of bed every day. If you're not, like, what are you doing wasting your days? Like, we all need to have the thing that lights us up and makes us really happy.
Mm. So if I ask you this one question, my closing question here. What is that one thing or two thing when people do it drive you crazy? If you had to share, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, drive me crazy. Put themselves down. I
Mm,
experienced that this weekend with someone that was putting themselves down over and over again. And I think people lose a little bit of respect for you when you do that publicly, for sure. But also, if you catch yourself doing that over and over again, you really maybe should take a look inward to say, like, how do I fall in love with myself again? Because that's a really important piece. Um, let's see. Something that I hate that people do. Have bad websites. Can I say that?
You can absolutely say that.
It drives me crazy because some people really have amazing like services and products, and then their website's just ruining the whole experience for all of their potential customers. So I really, really hate when people do that.
Oh my God. No, that is really good, by the way. I love that's genius.
Mhm.
This is why you do what you do. When I see that it drives me crazy, I gotta fix it. We gotta do something about your website, bro. Let's have a conversation.
I say that a lot. I actually had a client a couple years ago that was friends with my husband, and he called him after our sales call and was like, man, your wife just told me that my logo sucked without telling me that my logo sucked. It took me a minute to realize, but she just like said, and we're redoing your logo at the same time. And he was like, she didn't even like give me the choice. It was just, here's what's happening. I'm like, I got you. And it makes a huge, he's got it outside of his building now on a beautiful sign. It looks amazing. But it definitely was not readable before. So it had to be redone.
Hmm. Well, thank you for doing that service.
Yep.
And I do want to tap back into something you said before we close out. You talked about when people put themselves down and it's what it does to them when they do that. And sometimes when you in a group of people or in a community where people doesn't really build you up, they always tear you down. You end up having the habit of tearing yourself down too. And we see people that does that because nobody really value them, so they don't think they're valuable. And when somebody is like, "Oh, you look so beautiful," nah, I'm not that beautiful. You know. And then everything like, oh, you're so smart. Nah, I'm not that smart. Because all they hear is people putting themselves down, calling them stupid, telling them they're ugly, all that stuff. And you gotta start building yourself, put yourself in on people, right? That are like, yeah, I want to see you become the best version you by the way, I'm gonna edify you every time, every chance I get. Because you're awesome. And not a lot of people
Is
get that.
that,
So
but there's another side to the coin where to be humble, it's a quality, and to be prideful, it's a bad thing. So if you take pride in what you are and how you carry
mm,
yourself and what you realize, it's a bad thing, right? So we have to
mm,
snap out of this mentality.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. And I think, too much of anything is a bad thing. It's like everything in moderation. You can't be, on this whole side of the coin where it's like, man, I'm amazing. Look at me go. Right. And just hyping yourself up in front of everybody all the time. And being that person that's boastful or bragful. But then at the other side, you don't want to be that person in the crowd either that's just putting yourself down all the time, because then people start to see that maybe you don't have the ability to help them. Like if you're a business owner, that's a really big red flag to a lot of people that are your potential customers, or people that are potential friends with you, or like, I don't know how to hold a conversation with you right now because everything's negative and everything's putting yourself down. So I think that there is like that there's always that in between balance that we're always striving for.
hmm. Okay, and I'll add this one piece before we close. So,
You keep saying one more. It's like
one
me.
more, one more. Yeah, I'm dragging you up. I'm dragging you up. But the thing I want to make, the point I want to make here, it's all about like you can't see the label on the jar. Like you are the jar, and when somebody say you are really good at this thing, and you won't believe it because you can't see the label on the jar. And oftentimes we need a community to say, hey, you really good at that thing. And once you recognize that greatness, like, oh, that's the label I've been showing this whole time, then you can own that, and now you can start feel like you're really valued. But oftentimes people don't see the label on the jar because they're inside the jar, you
Yeah.
know?
My mastermind group and I, we've been together for about 5 years. It's a group of ladies and we help each other with our businesses and our lives.
Mhm.
And we just went on a retreat not too long ago. And one of the things that we did during our retreat was write out our hype lists. So we wrote out a list
I
of
like that. The hype
all
list.
the stuff we've accomplished. Yes, I actually heard that from my business coach, Danielle Throckmorton. So I want to give her props there. But she tells you to write out a hype list. So we decided to do that as a group activity. So we all went to our own corners at the Airbnb. We wrote out our hype list. And then we got together over dinner and we each read out our hype list. And you should have heard the like, yes, girls, that was happening at that table, right? Because we were all hyping each other up, but we also then clued on some things that the other person hadn't written down yet, right? Hey, don't forget you're really good at this thing, or don't forget you've accomplished this thing over here, right? And so I think like sometimes that hype has to come from ourselves internally where we're proud of our own accomplishments and we recognize them. But also like share that list with people and let them add to it for you. Like let them tell you the thing that you're really good at that you don't see, right? Because you can't see that label.
360. I love it. Crystal, I can already tell that we can do a lot of idea tennis here. Bing, 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 back and forth. Appreciate your mind. Appreciate your passion and your love for what you do. Lavinia, any last word before we close out?
Thank you very much, Crystal. I really appreciate you and your passion, and we need more people like you out there. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Of course, our pleasure. At your service, Crystal. Like you would say, probably to your clients, right? All right, folks, you're tuning to Pandora's Awareness Podcast, a place where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. And today, you heard from Lavinia, Queen Lav, and Crystal. And if you feel like Crystal is your hero and you want to meet your hero, she's on our website. Say that again one more time, Crystal.
Oakscreativehouse.com.
That's where you're going to find her at. And with that, folks, make it an awesome week.